Alright, let's talk about it. This video went super viral with thousands and thousands of people asking, what exactly is this? Being the strange, morbidly curious person I am, I decided to look into it. You can find that device as well as countless other interesting items at the Lara Museum in Ronda, Spain. The museum is the private collection of Juan Antonio Jury. I took the 3D tour of the historical building and it is filled with dozens and dozens of antique watches, clocks, cameras, bullfighting paraphernalia, and much more. The cellar, which is by far the most interesting in my opinion, is known as the Living Inquisition. Down in the cellar showcases things from the Spanish Inquisition as well as witchcraft. They also have a slew of other torture devices, the rack, the iron chair, and the Judas cradle to name a few. That is also where you will find what is called the Consolation Machine. A deep dive into who created this machine, what was it for, and when was it built turns up nothing. I managed to find a few pictures of the paper that is located on the machine in the video, and it reads as follows. The sex for Christianity is the most shameful act a human being can show. For this reason, it was thought to regulate it in a serious way. It was fixed some days of prohibition and other days were authorized by only a procreation purpose. People who didn't obey these rules went to the hell. For witches were impossible to obey these rules the church imposed. My takeaway from that is that it was used against women or witches to punish them for indulging in such lewd acts. Still, so many questions. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
If this is true, it changes everything. According to historical records, the first ancient civilization known to us is that of the ancient Sumerians. The Sumerians existed over 6,000 years ago, predating the Egyptians by 1,000 years. They resided in a region known as Mesopotamia, which encompasses present-day Iraq and parts of Iran, Kuwait, Syria, and Turkey. The Sumerians referred to themselves as black-headed ones, or black-headed people, and held a belief in gods known as the Anunnaki, described as children of the earth and skies. Some researchers speculate that the ancient Sumerians had a remarkable understanding of the universe, as depicted in artifacts showing the solar system with planets orbiting the sun. Adding to their intrigue are depictions of ancient handbags and bracelets. The Sumerians made groundbreaking inventions, including the wheel, alphabet, and the calendar we use today. They also developed irrigation systems for farming and established a system to measure time in seconds, minutes, and hours. Some believe that knowledge was bestowed upon them. The Sumerian civilization appears to have been one of the most advanced of its time, challenging modern explanations of our history. The discovery of 30,000 stone tablets from ancient Sumeria includes the story called the Epic of Gilgamesh, which features a great flood, an event also found in many other religious texts. Scientists link the end of the last ice age to several temperature anomalies and a significant rise in sea levels, likely caused by an asteroid impact. This catastrophic event may have led to the rapid melting of ice and widespread devastation to various species, including animals, plants, and humans. Some speculate that the tale of the Great Flood is not a mere myth, but a way of passing down knowledge through generations to ensure its survival. Recent findings, such as Göbekli Tepe in Upper Mesopotamia, dating back at least 11,600 years, have questioned the age and origins of the Sumerians. It is still uncertain where the ancient Sumerians originated from, and some theories suggest they may have migrated south into southern Mesopotamia, where the people of Göbekli Tepe became the Sumerians we know today. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Since most people are right-handed, in World War II, Germans were specifically trained to eat in their left hand, so that spies from the other countries would be easier to spot. History facts that will shock you. Before passing away, Albert Einstein said a few words in German. The only person to listen was a nurse who didn't speak German if you were offered to travel one time to the past. But you can never see again the first person who appears when you click on share. And then WhatsApp. Would you take it? The Californian ship was the closest ship to the Titanic when it hit the iceberg. Yet it never came to the rescue. The crew claimed that they saw the call for help flares from the Titanic, but failed to understand the distress signals. There is no single comment under this video with 0 likes. During the Prohibition era in the United States, the government poisoned industrial alcohols to deter people from drinking them, resulting in an estimated 10,000 victims. If you want to get rid of your bad habits without nicotine or vapor, check the link in my bio. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the release of the iPhone than to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza.
What if I told you that in 1518, an entire town was gripped by an uncontrollable urge to dance? In the heart of Strasbourg, a woman named Frau Troffa stepped into the street and began to dance. There was no music, no celebration, just an inexplicable compulsion to move. She danced for hours, then days. By the end of the week, 34 others had joined her, and within a month, the dancing epidemic had spread to 400 people. This bizarre event wasn't a festive occasion. People were not dancing for joy but out of what seemed to be uncontrollable compulsion. They danced until they collapsed from exhaustion, and some even danced until they died. This strange phenomenon is now known as the dancing plague of 1518. Imagine the scene. A bustling town square filled with people twirling, hopping, and leaping. Their faces are not filled with joy, but with fear and confusion. They dance in their sleep-deprived delirium, their bodies writhing in the summer heat, their feet bloody and bruised. So, the next time you hear a catchy tune and can't help but tap your foot, remember the dancing plague of 1518, when an entire town couldn't stop dancing. It remains one of history's most bizarre and unexplained events.
This is the top of the Great Pyramid of Giza as seen from above. Although it is the peak, it spans more than 12 square meters. In fact, there used to be a pyramid-shaped block at this location, but it has been lost. According to ancient Egyptian records, the pyramid-shaped block placed on top was the most important part of a pyramid. It was the final piece that allowed the pyramid to fully utilize its true function. However, the tops of the pyramids have been lost for a long time, and no one knows why. Records from over 2,000 years ago show that at that time, the pyramid no longer had a pyramid-shaped block on top. When intact, the pyramid was covered with white limestone and polished to a shine. Therefore, sunlight would reflect off the surface of the pyramid, making this structure visible from space at a very far distance. The tip of the pyramid is believed to have been made of gold, leading many to suspect it may have been stolen, and the loss of the part that could activate the true function of the pyramid makes this structure even more mysterious to us.
Please, for the love of God, explain to me how, as it twists over here onto its axis, and the satellites are supposedly hovering like this, coming around, how do they not hit this part right here and all fall down onto the ground?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Why did people in the Middle Ages have such long, pointy shoes? They were known as krikals and were actually a status symbol for the rich. The points on the shoe could get as long as 20 inches. It got so out of control that in 1463, King Edward IV actually passed a law limiting toe length to less than 2 inches. Some people would even tie string or gold or silver chains from the points of their shoes to their knees to prevent tripping. This medieval fashion statement did pose other risks as well, such as extreme bunions. 314 skeletons from medieval burial sites were examined. It showed that just 3% of those buried in poorer graveyards had bunions. 43% of those wealthy individuals suffered from the deformity.
How could the ancient Egyptians align the Great Pyramid almost perfectly with the true cardinal directions? Well, they had the sun, which played a major role in their religion and society. If you take a stick and place it in the ground, you can mark points at the end of its shadow. Those points will form a curve. You then tie a string to a stick to form a circle around its center point. You then mark the points where the circle intersects the curve, and that will give you your east-west direction. Now, if you do this on the spring or fall equinox, those endpoints of the shadow actually form an almost perfectly straight line. Archaeologist and engineer Glenn Dash conducted this experiment on the fall equinox. Now, the result of the experiment shows about the same degree of error that the Great Pyramid has, which is rotated counterclockwise about 1/15 of 1 degree. If he had done this on the spring equinox, the error would be rotated clockwise. And to get the perpendicular north-south axis, you would draw a midpoint between the 2 points that intersect the curve, and then connect that midpoint to the center point of the circle.
Let me share with you the greatest story in all of history. A story of a king whose name has been forgotten by most of mankind, but a name that history will never erase from the annals of time. This king hails from the mighty and blessed land that has left an indelible mark on world events, so much so that the great continent of Asia bears his name. How many of you know 3,500 years ago, a great king, whose name has been forgotten by most of humanity but remains etched in the annals of mighty and blessed Ethiopia's history, rose to prominence? This remarkable king, beloved by the Creator, God, was characterized by unparalleled wisdom, consciousness, and his intelligence was so intriguing. This king was the owner of many skills besides his priesthood, kingship, and prophethood. He possessed a multitude of skills, making him the sole superhuman in the annals of mankind's history. Some of the groundbreaking achievements of this extraordinary king include pioneering genetic engineering research, expertise in botany and mineralogy, inventing the very first Ethiopian flag, exercising a humble reign, limiting it to just 10 years to provide all princes with an opportunity to rule. He willingly relinquished the throne when his time came. He discovered the secrets of prolonging life to stay young. This drug is called life. The experts still use it in the months of September to renew themselves so they don't get old and live a long life. So we will see more about life in another time. Conducting pioneering crossbreeding experiments, leading to the creation of the first mule by breeding a horse and a donkey. Expanding his kingdom to what is now modern-day Asia, bestowing it with his name. The roots of today's variation in Ethiopian skin colors are attributed to his extensive human genetic engineering. Extensive research into mineral secrets, accompanied by the authorship of numerous books. He was also the first person to say that drinking pure water can prolong life. Do you want to know who this wise and mysterious king from the magnificent nation of Ethiopia truly is? Behold, the greatest of all kings across the world, King Asiel. King Asiel, guided by a divine promise, enjoyed a lifespan rivaling those of Abraham and Methuselah, exceeding an astounding 480 years. This wise and mysterious king, a testament to Ethiopia's grandeur. Ethiopia's rich history continues to be an unending source of fascination, marking its place as a pioneer in numerous fields.
How did the ancient Egyptians drill holes into granite? Well, they didn't have laser technology, as pyramid deniers will often say, in order to discredit the actual builders. This is a granite core sample from the time of the construction of the Great Pyramid. In the sample, we can clearly see an irregularity in the concentric lines that were created from the drilling process. In addition, we can see that the concentric lines compressed towards the bottom of the core, indicating that the drill material corroded and became less effective as they got towards the bottom. This eliminates the possibility of laser technology or automated power tools. In addition, the lines indicate back and forth motion. This is an experiment being done by archaeologist Mark Lehner in Egypt. They're using a bronze cylinder as their drilling mechanism, which probably would have been formed by heating it and wrapping it around a cylindrical piece of wood. And they're basing this method off of ancient Egyptian paintings. Now yes, granite is harder than bronze, but sand particles are harder than granite. And when you apply sand particles under the bronze tube, the tube rubs the particles into the granite, and that's what causes the cutting. And now if you have questions about how they move these blocks, you can check out my other videos.